Hey everybody out there, this is Seto, and today for you guys, we're going to discuss a really interesting topic. I'm going to go at different angles of this, probably with a two-part video over the next couple of weeks. But this is something that I saw MCult40 discuss a couple of weeks ago, and it's something I want to discuss a little bit about because I think it's very interesting, and it pretty much shows where Konami's mindset is, number one, and number two, where the foreseeable future is going to be for Yu-Gi-Oh! Products coming out in the next couple of years, at least. And I really am happy about this, and that's going to be a different video altogether, but I want to just discuss with this first because I think it's important to address it, and as pretty much what the trend setting is going to be for the foreseeable future. Now you may be asking yourself, what is this trend Konami's doing? And maybe my title will give it away a little bit, but we have to think here the last couple of main core sets we've seen come out, right? And not just main core sets, mind you, even structure decks, right? What do they have in common? And what do they have different from previous years in Yu-Gi-Oh! When it came to flagship core sets? I'll give you a minute to think on that, because there's some different answers, possibly, you probably have. But there's one thing in particular that's really different. The original, for years, even if we go back all the way to OG Yu-Gi-Oh!, they were based off the anime. Think about that for a second, right? What did all these flag core ship sets always have in common? They had anime stuff in it, a lot of anime stuff in it, like just anime filler, I would even call it. And the flagship cards of those sets were what? Based off the anime. Because for many years, for probably almost, 18, 20 years in Yu-Gi-Oh!, Konami's agenda was always, okay, we support product in the set and we push the anime. Well, they're not doing that anymore. Why is that? Rush Duels. That's the new anime over in Japan. I believe eventually that's going to come over here to the TCG, but that's another topic I want to talk to about a little bit later. But there's no anime supporting the core set of Yu-Gi-Oh! Now, some people have stated this is a bad thing for the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! I highly disagree if you really think about it. But the thing in this video I want to talk more about is what they're doing instead of supporting the anime. What are they doing? Remember what I just said? What are those? What are the common threads? Maybe now you get what I'm going at. These new sets that are coming out, right? The last 3 core sets, and even moving forward, and the last 2 structure decks we got, and even the next structure decks we're going to be getting over here in the TCG, they have what in common? They're supporting fan favorite cards, fan favorite archetypes, cards that were fan favorites, turning them into archetypes, giving new support to older archetypes. Not supporting the anime fully because there is no anime, but using that filler space for other stuff. Be it new archetypes, be it support for new archetypes. You see what I'm going. Look at the covers of the cards. Now, I know some people are like, oh, well, these new core sets are not as good as the other ones. Okay, I gotcha. I understand they may not have the most broken cards in them, but you can't deny the fact that when you change the cover cards of the set from anime-based stuff to fan-favorite cards, it's true. And it's if it was just the main core sets, yeah, maybe I would agree, but that maybe there's just a trend. But no, it's also structure decks. What have they been doing over the last year and a half, guys? Having us be able to vote on structure decks and giving us support for said structure decks. Sacred Beast. Did anybody expect in 2020 for Sacred Beast structure deck? I didn't. Did anybody in freaking 2020 expect to have Ice Barrier structure deck? Shaddoll structure deck? Did any of this a couple years ago seem even plausible? We're getting a freaking Egyptian God deck structure deck, guys, for Obelisk and Slifer. And we pretty much got one in the Duelist pack for Ra, so like, okay, that's cool. Like, do you see where I'm going with this? Konami's doing a trend. They're doing a trend now, guys. And it's really, really, really interesting to see how this trend is progressing and how it is moving forward, because it's really interesting, I think. Because it's really cool to see this pace that Konami's doing. And I'm going to talk in a different video about why I'm so excited for this new era of Yu-Gi-Oh! But this is going to be the foreseeable future for the time, guys, I feel like, what we're going to see. I expect in the next couple of years, until possibly a new anime comes out that maybe supports the main core set, the main core series, that we're going to see this trend continue. Konami at this point in time in Yu-Gi-Oh!, for it being around as long as it's been, has a huge card pool to play with. A gigantic one. I don't think, personally, that there is any other card game on planet Earth that has a larger card pool that is actively can be used in competitive play than Yu-Gi-Oh! Not saying it all can be meta, because Magic, Pokemon, and many other card games out there rotate cards. Yu-Gi-Oh! Does not. You have how many years worth of core set stuff that is still good years later. One of the reasons I love Yu-Gi-Oh! Love it or hate it, that's one of my favorite reasons why. Because something that I pulled as a kid, I can still use in competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! Even nowadays, which is really interesting. The Blue Eyes White Dragons I used in 2002, I can play in 2021. Can you say that about the Charizard you pulled at a base set? Nope. Can you say about that with some of your old Magic cards that you got when you first got started in Magic? Maybe on separate series of different the different leagues that Magic has, and even Pokemon as well. But you can't really say that, right? Fully, you can't. And that's one of the things I think I love about Yu-Gi-Oh! And because they have this large card pool to pull from, you're seeing what they're doing, right? Gyre the Fierce Knight. I mean, I was in the process of building a deck of that, and it was a very fringe archetype. Very fringe. Konami turned this one fusion card that had a spotlight in anime into its own full-fledged archetype. For better or for worse, how good the deck is, it's a full-fledged archetype now that is technically playable and is decent at the worst, and is actually something you can play now. Not brokenly, but at least playable, which is something a lot of archetypes and cards can't be said for. And it gives me hope that some of these older cards and older archetypes are finally going to get some freaking support, or at least get upgrades. When freaking Armed Dragon got support, I said, oh my gosh. Okay, this is not a trend. This is not just a one-time thing. This is not just, okay, we're going to give you Blue Eyes, Red Eyes, and Dark Magician support because the movie's coming out. No, 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 no. This is, we're doing this consistently now in main core sets and in structure decks, especially when you hear the Egyptian God structure decks. Don't tell me, and it's very hard to deny that that's what's going to happen. And it's one of the reasons why I'm going to say now, and I'm not a market watch channel, but I'm just going to be honest with you straight up. If there's any deck out there or any old school archetype that you really have always wanted to build and have decided not to because of one reason or the other, I highly suggest you may invest in that archetype, especially if it's a fan favorite, because there's a very, very strong chance that it will get support in the near future. It's one of the reasons why I stopped years ago selling my decks, and selling cards, really, I would say, in general. Mainly selling my decks that I created, because at any point in time, Konami can be like, boop, there you go, have support. Boop, there you go, legacy support. Boop, there you go. And it's happening a lot more now because the anime is no longer involved. Because the anime is no longer involved, all these old archetypes, all these old cards could even become things. We're seeing it across the board, guys. I wouldn't be surprised to get Horus level 8 support. I wouldn't be surprised that in some period of time we're going to get Dark Scorpion support. Heck, for all I know, we finally could get Pyramid of Light support. Moki Moki could become a meta deck. I don't know. Like, I don't know, and I'm being fully honest because you can't say to the fact that with what Konami's track record recently, that does not happen because they're giving random good support more than they just used to. Before, it would maybe a set is dedicated to said archetype, Blue Eyes White Dragon, Red Eyes, here and there, right? Dark Magician, but Heroes gets something in a side set or something in a structure deck, right? Because it's a protagonist, but not to this extent. Where if you look at the core sets recently, what do they mainly consist of? Look at the future core sets, right? Scrap support, this support, that support. That's a lot of stuff. And yeah, they dedicate to new archetypes. That's always going to be Konami's thing, I'm going to be honest. And they will have meta-based decks come out. That's a given. But they're giving more legacy support and creating new strategies off old archetypes and old cards. They have not done that in a long time. They reinvented the level mechanic. Okay? What does that tell me? That tells me they're going to go there's a lot of level monsters out there that people don't know about. Horse level 8? Have you faced Horse level 8? No? Well, prepare for all your spells to get negated. There's some other cool ones out there, and you can see that people are starting to buy things up of things they like, not just because of legacy support, but because they could get support. And when they do, they'll go up in price. Look at Armed Dragon level 10. Pfft, blew up in price just because Armed Dragon's got support, and we don't even run the dang thing in the deck, really, right? So, like, it could happen. And, Gaia, I know, went up in price a little bit. Like, these things are going to happen more and more frequently, guys, as time goes on, because a lot of these older players are becoming more mature. They have money, and they're going to spend that money, and they want to play their nostalgic cards. Yu-Gi-Oh! Player base is getting older. I don't think the community is shrinking as much as people really think. I think it does, but that happens with any card game. It shrinks a little bit, has dips and curves, but if the market watches are any indication of anything, and the fact that people are still finding ways to play Yu-Gi-Oh! With everything going on, it's not dying, it's growing. And Konami is doing, because of the player base changing demographic in some regards, is supporting that. And I think we're going to talk about this in a different video, talk about rush duels a little bit, and what that may pre-tail, but for this part of this video, that's what I wanted to focus on, to show you the fact that Konami is doing a certain trend for these reasons, and that it's probably going to continue for the foreseeable future. That we're going to see more and more and more and more legacy support with main core sets, structure decks, etc. Expect it to happen. And don't be surprised if you're a random deck that you've always wanted to have support for randomly gets support, because I got a feeling it's going to happen. I wouldn't be surprised if a Lyric Queen level monster got random support, because I wouldn't be surprised if Moki Moki got support at this point, because it could happen. Freaking Charmers got their own structure deck. I never thought Charmers were going to get their own structure deck. I never thought Sacred Beast would get their own structure deck. And here we are in 2021, and it's already happened, and then there's more stuff already coming down the pipeline. Did I ever think Egyptian Gods were going to get their own structure deck? I've been preaching for that for years, and finally Konami did it. It's hard to admit that it's not impossible that these things could happen and come to pass. So tell me down below your thoughts on this. Do you think this is true? And I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. Take care, guys, and I'll see you next time. Good luck dueling to all of you.